Hey guys, Ali Duzette here, and today we have a lot of big things to talk about from November. I actually recorded most of this, and then I had a child come in and I lost my whole recording, so it's okay. We're gonna blast through this and talk about the really important stuff that's coming right up. We have a full moon at 13 degrees of Taurus showing up on November the 5th. Uranus is retrograding back into Taurus on November the 8th. Venus is going to be at 2 degrees of Scorpio on November the 8th. Mercury is going retrograde on November 10th, and then Jupiter is going retrograde on November 11th. And all of these things are big, so we need to talk about them. The full moon in Taurus is happening on November 5th, this coming Wednesday. So we're already in the full moon energy. And all full moons invite us to let things go. This time around, we're going to be invited to let things go on the axis of wealth versus debt, talent versus power, our stuff versus other people's stuff. We're going to ask questions like, who do I owe things to? And who owes me something? Where am I honing my talents and where might I be putting my light under a bushel? We are going to be thinking about these things, whether or not you know that you're thinking about them because of the full moon. They're gonna have, themes on this axis are going to be showing up for everybody. And the reason why is to help us let go of the things that have caused us trouble so that we can step up into, our next stage of our journey. So, what do you need to let go of? What are the beliefs and the feelings and the stories that you tell yourself that it's time to say goodbye to that are holding you back in the areas of wealth, debt, household management, how you are taking care of your talents, how you are helping other people? This is a great day to pray about that and get some clarity on, where am I seeing things incorrectly? Where might I not have the full story? Where do I need to stop telling myself certain narratives so I can see things in a different light? Uranus is re-entering Taurus, and Taurus governs stability, and Uranus governs instability. So we can expect some big shakeups around areas of anything that we thought was stable. It might be less stable than we thought for the next coming weeks as Uranus is in this area. This is happening at 29 degrees of Taurus, which is the Enneatic degree. It's the one that helps us wrap up old cycles. And this is creating an exact sextile with Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. So we have a really unique opportunity to wrap up some big cycles around delusionality. I said that wrong, but like delusionality and land and objects and money and worth. Um, Deservingness. Taurus governs like who deserves what. And so we are going to have a lot of discussions about who deserves what, some big surprises around this. I mention it that way because I feel like right now on my Facebook feed, on my Twitter feed, everything is talking about the food stamps, the SNAP benefits that um, are not being processed right now, and there's just a big questions of who deserves what. Those are probably going to become even more relevant, even more top of mind than they already are. And we're going to be wrapping up some cycles around this issue of deserving. So that will be very interesting. I don't know what it will look like for each of us individually. We're going to be coming to our own different conclusions about what we individually deserve. Like, what do you personally deserve? What do the people around you deserve? What do random people deserve? Like, we're all going to be making all sorts of conclusions about deserving and deservingness. Um, in our personal lives, we're going to have some unexpected things that make us course correct around our management of resources. How are you managing your time, your money, your land, your stuff, your sense of self? All of that is going to come up and invite us to review. Am I using my resources wisely? Um, are they even my resources? Like, whose resources are they? What obligations do I have to the people whose resources I may be using? These kinds of things. So these are going to be showing up right now. And whatever comes up, it will probably be surprising because Uranus governs surprise. Like, you can't really guess exactly what might show up for you personally, but whatever it is, now you know that it was coming. So hopefully it won't be as surprising. And when these things show up, you'll know, okay, I remember this is a time to um, to be shaken up around how I'm using my resources. And I hope that when this happens, that you remember this is happening for you, not to you. Our creator really cares deeply about how your life goes. And if things get crazy for you and upsetting, turn to our creator in hope and faith, because I really do believe that things can work out well for you as long as we're listening every single day. We listen to our creator every day and take one step at a time. Sometimes we still have to walk through the shadow of the valley of death, but we will get through on the other side. Now, Venus is at 2 degrees of Scorpio right now. Or not yet. On November the 8th, it is going to be doing that. And this is mostly important because this is where we had the solar eclipse that took place on October 25th of 2022. If you'll remember, we talked a lot about the skeletons in the closet at that time. Um, Dealing with other people's resources, secrets coming forward, um, all of these kinds of things were really triggered up and shaken up by that eclipse. And now we're probably going to see the echoes of that uh, coming up through the rest of November. And possibly in a way that really echoes that the Venus energy, which I'll get to in a little minute. But um, one thing that I recommend is looking up in your journal. If you keep a journal, go back and read what was going on in the 2 weeks after October 25th of 2022, and then the couple months after. If you have like a Facebook account or something, you can go back and look at your posts from that time, October 25th, 2022, up through about November 15th of 2022. Go read what was happening in your life and ask yourself, like, how are those cycles playing out for me now? What themes were happening then? What is happening now? And you may find that these patterns are connected, that you are still dealing with cycles that were being triggered at that time. And now you've leveled up a little bit. Life is kind of like a spiral staircase. It feels like a circle. It feels like we're just walking in circles, but really we are ascending the staircase or descending if we're a real mess. But hopefully we are ascending the staircase and visiting these same patterns, but from a higher perspective. So hopefully now our perspectives on these issues are a little bit higher. Venus governs money and femininity. Um, you may find feminine energies showing up around whatever patterns that you are dealing with for the next month or so. And what that might mean is that a woman in your life may show up to force some clarity on the issue. Um, like if you are a man, maybe your mom might say something, your wife might say something, a woman might say something, and true if you're a woman as well, that another woman may say something that is helpful to you. You may feel that you need to relax into the situation instead of fighting it. Venus is going to be about that relaxation, where Mars is going to be the fighter. Our job right now is not necessarily to fight the pattern, but to kind of rest and assess the pattern from a space of rest. So yeah, take a look at what was going on in your life back in October, November of 2022. See what patterns are showing up for you now that were still active back then, and ask yourself, what new insights do I have now? How can I rest into this? How can I maybe take a break in how I'm fighting or, activating this situation? Mercury is going retrograde on November the 9th through November the 29th. Mercury is going to be retrograde in Sagittarius this time. So hopefully we all know, I mean, Mercury retrograde is famous now, that it happens about 3 times a year. It happens for about 3 weeks at a time. Mercury retrograde is always inviting us to rethink and review and revisit and redo. So we have a double whammy of rethinking because Uranus in Taurus is going to be having us rethink how we're using our time and talents and wealth and land and stuff. But Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is going to be having us change how we view. Oh, hey, honey, I'm recording. Hold on, honey.
Trying to take this from me.
So Mercury in Sagittarius, Sagittarius governs expansion of horizons. So like higher education, travel, listening to podcasts about obscure topics. Uh, it governs all religion. So Pisces governs like spirituality, like feeling one with the universe, like feeling connected to the divine. Sagittarius governs religion, like the dogma, the rules, the structures through which we filter our experiences with the divine. So, whatever rules that we feel like are being imposed on us by the divine, that is what Sagittarius is governing. I really do believe that every single person is religious. They might not have an organized religion and they might not believe in God, but every single person in this world does have a religious structure. Um, what everyone in this world is worshiping something, whether they realize it or not. We all are, and all of us have imposed mental rules on how everything works. We've we've designed these mental structures of when this happens, that happens. We have created these ideas of consequences and not all of them are like accurate, right? They're religious. They're just what we have decided is true, whether or not we actually know if they're true. So Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius, we're going to have some big invitations to rethink those kinds of belief structures that we've imposed on our experiences. We're going to have opportunities to rethink how we are expanding, how we're growing, how we're traveling, and how we're educating ourselves. So expect that for the 3 weeks starting on November the 9th. Then we have Jupiter going retrograde on November 11th, 2025 through March 26th of 2026. Uh, this, so Jupiter spends about 4 months a year going retrograde. Um, and every time Jupiter goes retrograde, it can invite a reversal of fortune. It can slow things down and kind of flip them around. So Jupiter governs expansion, it governs growth and blessings. When Jupiter is in retrograde, things kind of flip around. So if things have been growing very quickly, they might slow down, they might reverse. You might feel like things are suddenly not going so well. If things already were not going so well for you, it's possible that the shift would actually be positive. If you have a natal Jupiter in retrograde, you may find that you actually feel like much more fortunate than usual during a Jupiter retrograde. So wherever things have been expanding, they might start contracting for a while, and that's just something to keep an eye on. Jupiter is in Cancer this time. So we're going to have a pause in momentum around home and family and tribe, all things that Cancer governs. So we need to spend these next 4 months kind of reassessing, like, what do we want out of our home and family life? What are we expecting out of our tribe? How are we contributing to our tribe? How are we contributing to our family? What blessings do we want out of our home and family life? And how are we blessing our home and family? We're going to be revisiting a lot of ongoing patterns and themes over the next few days, weeks, and months. This is, by the way, this is my conclusion. I didn't really frame it that way, but um, everything that we just talked about, it sums up as follows. We're going to be dealing with a bunch of patterns around home and family, objects, lands, stability, wealth, money, and how we're expanding our horizons mentally and physically. So don't be surprised if you are slowed down or stopped or turned around because that is the name of the game during this retrograde season. As these big changes show up, our job is to get honest, clean up the mess, and be open to new directions. We need to tell ourselves the truth. Where have we been lying to ourselves? Where have we been hiding from reality? There's a big Saturn transit coming up. I didn't even mention it in this video, but it is like way more massive than anything that I already talked about. It's a huge deal, and Saturn is going to force us to get real. Wherever we have been lying to ourselves or lying to others, it is going to come back to bite us in the butt. So, time to get honest. And today's a great day to pray and ask God, like, God, will you show me where I've been lying to myself? Where have I been hiding from reality? Show me what is real. And write down in your journal what comes to you. What is real? Where have you not been honest with yourself? We need to clean up the mess. We need to honestly look at ourselves and say, okay, where did I truly mess up? What do I need to do to fix it? Do I need to apologize to somebody, either verbally or spiritually? Where do I have to make something right? And then we need to actually make it right. So being proactive about cleaning up our own messes saves so much time and energy. I know that when those big messes feel huge and daunting, it can feel easier to put them off, like put off cleaning up the mess because you don't want to stir the pot, you don't want to make the mess worse. And sometimes I think that is legitimate. I think there's a time and a season for when we need to face our biggest messes, you know? And sometimes it's not the right time. So I don't think you should force that early if you know what I'm saying. But really, before Saturn enters Aries in February, I'm going to strongly suggest that we get serious about what we haven't done right in our lives and really start fixing it. Because whatever we don't fix when Saturn enters Aries, it is just Aries is just the warrior energy. It is just going to be um unpleasant. So let's clean up the mess. These retrogrades are showing up to help us realize the messes that we've made so that we can clean them up and do better in the future. So let's be proactive about it. And then we've got to be open to new directions. These retrogrades and planetary movements, they're opening up the way for us to change paths. If you've been heading down a road that you don't love, you have a lot of support coming up to shift out of that. You do not have to stay on a path that you don't want to be on. And these planets are here to help you get out of that. And even if you do like your path, you might be forced out of it anyway. Sometimes things show up that force us to renegotiate the direction that we're headed in. And over the next few weeks and months, if we're going to include Jupiter here, um, we have a lot of invitations to reset. You know, where do you actually want to go? Um, you might have to go in a new direction that you don't really want to, and I don't know. When it shows up, I hope you remember this video and say, "Oh yeah, but I knew about it ahead of time. It's just the weather. The weather has dictated that sometimes we're going to have to switch course and we didn't want to, but it will be okay. Everything that is happening for us and not to us. This is not to ruin our lives." So, I'm going to recommend going to allyduzetclasses.com. I was gonna share my screen with the sessions, but the biggest session that I'm gonna recommend is the Big Changes session. And maybe I will go ahead and, oh, okay, let's see. See if I can just pull that up to show you anyway. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here we go. This is my website. And okay, the success and failure session is going to be very helpful, but that is not the one that I wanted to recommend. Discerning your divine mission could be helpful as we may have to change direction in a bunch of different ways, but the one that I really wanted to recommend is down here somewhere. Oh my gosh, where is it? Here it is, coping with big changes. Okay, coping with big changes. Um, this one is going to help us deal with that uncertainty from Uranus re-entering Taurus, um, shaking up things that we thought were stable, giving us a final chance to wrap up a lot of life lessons in that area. So, coping with big changes, that is my number one recommendation. I it's been so long since I've like been doing regular sessions, but I thought maybe an honesty session might be good, or a clarity session to help us get through this because that's going to be our biggest challenge. Can we be honest enough with ourselves to find the truth that we need to be aware of to take our next steps and move forward with grace through uncertain times? Um, so anyway, I'm thinking about that, but I haven't scheduled anything, but I just wanted to record this video and get it out there while I had a minute to do that. And now it's 1:11 p.m. So wow, we'll say divine timing, even though I already recorded most of this video and had it deleted. Thank you, my beautiful children. Okay, well, thanks guys. Hang in there. Everything is in God's hands and we have every reason to be hopeful. So you can do it. I believe in you. We'll see you soon.